Okay, so according to this reference, by the way, tutorials.com/ruby, we have the Ruby if else case and unless. So Ruby offers conditional structures that are pretty common to modern languages. So here we will explain the conditional statements and modifiers available in Ruby. So we have here the syntax. So this is the syntax. We have the if, then the condition, and then the set of codes. So if the expression are used for conditional execution. So when we say conditional, so basically the output is boolean. Okay. So it's either true or false. Execute codes if the condition is true. So once the condition is true, it will execute the block of code. So for example, here, x is equal to 1, and if x is greater than 2, if 1 is greater than 2, then display x is greater than 2. Else if x is less than or equal to 2 and x is not equal to 0, then puts or display x is 1. Else puts, I can guess the number, for example. So let's try this one in our online compiler. So you can use this online compiler to run your program for Ruby. So basically the output is x is 1. Why? The first condition is false. The first condition is false, but the second condition, this one, x is less than or equal to 2. Is 1 less than or equal to 2? Yes, true. This is true. This condition is true. And is x 1 is not equal to 0? Yes. So this is the condition is true. So that's why the output is x is 1. Not unless. So for example, uh, if it is 0, the first condition is false. 0 is greater than 2, false. 0 is less than or equal to 2, this is true, right? 0 is less than or equal to 2. But then again, our next condition is x is not equal to 0. Is 0 not equal to 0, this is false. But we are using the AND. Okay, so for the AND, by the way, um, so let's take a look at the AND truth table. Okay, so this is the AND truth table. And so 0 represents false and 1 represents true. So if both statements or conditions are false, so the output is false. For the AND, if one of the input is true, if one of the input or condition is true, sorry. If one of the condition is false, 0, pag false daw yung input niya, one of the input is false, then the output is false. Again, the 0 represents false and 1 represents true. Okay, so that's why in our output here, this is true, right? True. I mean, no, this is no, true and false, right? But we are using and. So if one of the condition is false, the output is false. So meaning it will not do this line of code or execute, but rather we have the else. If both conditions are false, then it will display this one. So that is for the if else. We have also the unless. So executes codes if the condition is false. So in the if the condition is true, code is specified in the else clause is executed. So let's try this one. Okay. So the output is x is less than 2. Why? Because the the first condition, 1 is greater than or equal to 2, this is false. So if the condition is false, so it will display this one. Okay. But for example, 3 will have a value, I mean x will have a value of 3. Then 3 greater than or equal to 2, this is true. This is true, right? So if the condition is true, then it will not execute this line, but rather it will execute the else, which is it will display x is greater than 2. So this is correct, the output is correct. X is greater than 2. Next, modifier. We have also the case statement. So for the case statement, compares the expression specified by the case and that is specified by when using the triple equal sign operator and executes the codes of when of the when clause that matches. So for example, age will have a value of 5, case age. So when 0 to 2. So if the value is in between 0 to 2, then it will display this one, puts or display baby. But if it is between 3 to 6, then little child, display little child. So basically the output is this one, little child, because 5 is in between 3 to 6. Let's try little child. So again, because 5 is in between 3 to 6. So for example, if it is 10, then probably the output is child. Because 10 is between 7 to 12. So that is for the case. Okay, next. So that is for the if else case statement. Now, for the looping statement, so loops in Ruby are used to execute the same block of codes as specified numbers of times. So execute code while the condition is true. Bondok. Okay? So a while loops conditional is separated from code by the reserved word do and new line backslash or a semicolon. So for example, this one, I will have a value of 0 and num is equal to 5. So while our condition is true, again, if the condition is true, it will do the line of codes and it will do the looping. So 0, so this is 0, right? 0 less than 5, this is true. So if it is true, then uh, yeah, it will display inside the loop I is equal to then the value of I which is 0 and then increment I by 1 and then now the value of our I is what? 1 kasi 0 plus 1 is 1. So 1 less than 5 true, then execute inside the loop I then display 1 because the current value of I is 1. Then increment by 1, 1 plus 1 is 2. So now the value of our I is 2, then 2 is less than 5. Our condition is true, then display inside the loop I is equal to uh, 2, and so on and so forth until our condition is false. Okay, so let's try. There. So it stops at number 4. Kasi pag 4 plus 1, right? 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 is less than 5, false, right? So once our condition is false, then it will terminate the program. So that is for the uh, looping statement. We have also the while modifier. Uh, Execute code while condition is true. If a while modifier follows a begin statement with no rescue or ensure clauses, code is executed once before the condition is executed. Okay, so if you notice in here, the condition is at the last part. So even though that the our condition is false, okay, kahit na condition is false daw, it will have an output or it will execute it once. So for example, this one. Same output, 0 to 4. Again, if our condition is false, so it will terminate the program. So for example, I is equal to 0 and num is equal to 5. Then display inside the loop I, then display the current value of our I, which is 0. So 0 siya. Then increment I, 0 plus 1 is 1. Then we have a condition. Now the current value of our I is 1. Is 1 less than 5 true? So if the condition is true, do the looping, this line of code. Then display this inside the loop I is equal to, and then the current value of our I is 1, for example. And then increment, so 2, and 2 is less than 5, true, our condition is true, then looping. So inside the loop I is equal to 2, and so on until our condition is false. So again, if our condition is false, it will terminate the program. We have also the until statement. So execute codes while condition is false. An until statement condition is separated from code by the reserved word do, a new line, or a semicolon. So for example, here I is equal to 0 and num is equal to 5 until, again, execute the while condition until condition is false. Until the condition is false. Until a statement condition is separated. Okay, so for the while, if the condition is true, but in until, false naman siya. So once our condition is false, then it will execute the line of codes. So for example, here, I, 0, 0 is greater than 5. True or false? False. Pero until yung ginagamit natin, until. So, if our condition is false, then display inside the loop I is equal to I, which is 0. And then increment, 0 plus 1 is 1. Then 1 is greater than 5, false. So, if it is false, then it will execute the looping, then display 1. Then increment 1 plus 2. I mean, 1 plus 1 is equal to 2. So 2 is greater than 5, false, so display, and so on. Okay? And now, for example, 5. 5 plus 1, that is 6. Right? 6 greater than 5, that is true. So once our condition is true, Using the until, it will terminate the program. Let's try in our online compiler. There. So 0 until 5. Next, until modifier. So if you notice here, for the modifier, we put the condition at the last part. So again, if the condition is true, then it will stop or terminate the program. Same there. Next, we have also the for statement. So execute codes once each statement or each element in expression. So for example, for I in 0 to 5, put value local variable I. So it will display from 0 to 5. Okay, parang the first value of our I is 0. Then display. Okay. Then it will increment. Over sa kamaka. Nawala. Ayun, increment by 1. So now the value of our I is 1. So it is in the range, our range. This is our range. They call it range. So from 0 to 5. So meaning it will display from 0 to 5. We had defined the range 0 to 5. So the statement for I is in 0 to 5, it will allow I to take values in the range from 0 to 5, including 5. Okay, so we have also another format for the loop. So for in loop almost exactly equivalent to the following. So they are the same. So if you want this format, okay lang. And if you want this format, it's okay also. Nawala sa kamaka. So same from range from 0 to 5, each do again the value of our I will have from 0 to 5 and then display. That is for the this one. We have also the break. So the break, it will automatically um, terminate the program. So terminates the most internal loops or loop. Terminates a method with an associated block if called within the block with the method return or returning nil. Okay. So for example, here for I in range 0 to 5, and then so we have a conditional statement here. If if I is greater than 2, then break. So definitely the output is from 0 to 2. Kasi pag nag-3 na yan, if our value of our I is 3, 3 greater than 2, this is true, right? So if the condition is true, execute this line of code, and then we have the break, so meaning it will terminate the program. So the output will be 0, 1, and 2. We have the next statement jumps to the next iteration of the most internal loops or loop, terminates execution of a block if called within the block with yield or called returning nil or empty, meaning nil or empty. For I, from in our range 0 to 5, so I, the first value of our I is 0. 0 less than 2, true. So if the condition is true, then again it will skip because we are using the next. Okay, pag next naman, it will go to the next line. Okay? Then it will increment it again by 1. So I will have a value of 1. 1 less than 2. So true. Pag true, next line ulit. So no display. Wala siyang ni-display. And then, um, parang skip kasi to skip. Then increment 1 by 1. So the value of our I is 2. 2 less than 2. Hindi. Tama. 2 less than 2. Then next pa rin siya. Kasi this 2 less than 2 is false. False na siya. Okay. Pag false na siya, if our condition here is false, then it will not execute this one. Hindi niya na to i-execute. But rather, pupunta na siya dito. So, it will display value of local variable is 2. Okay? Yan. So, that is the use of the next. So, in this example, it will display 2 until 5 because our range is from 0 to 5. So, it will skip from 0 to 1 because of this condition. We have the redo, restarts this iteration of the most internal loops without checking loop condition. Restarts yield or call if called within a block. Okay, so for example, here for I in a range 0 to 5, if I is less than 2, the first value of our I is 0. So 0 less than 2 is true, then display. Value of local variable I is 0. Next, redo. Meaning redo, it will not increment but rather it will stay or it will go back to the previous value of our I which is 0. Meaning this code or this program will have an output of infinite loop. Infinite loop na siya because the value of our I is always 0 because of the redo. Always 0 na yung maging value niya. So meaning, this one is always true. The condition is always true. So yun, infinite loop. Just display the value or value of local variable is 0 always. So this will produce the following result and will go in an infinite loop. We have also the retry. If retry appears in rescue clauses of begin expression, let's start from the beginning of the begin body. Example, if retry appears in the iterator, the block or body of the for expression restarts the invocation of the iterator call. Arguments to the iterator is re-evaluated. Example, for I is in the range 0 to 5, retry if I is greater than 2. Mhm. So the first value of our I is 0, then 0 greater than 2 is false, so it will not display that one. Okay. Then next is the value of our I is 1, then retry if I 1 is greater than 2. Then although this is false kasi because of the retry, restart from I is equal to 1, then it will display, same, display 1. So, value of local variable is 1. Okay, then next is increment by 2. 2 greater than 2, false, 2 greater than 2, oh wait, false pa rin siya, right? False. But because of the retry, it will display 2. And then, restart. Yeah. Restart to 1. So, meaning the output will be 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So, that will be the output because of the retry. So, that is our last topic. Okay, so by the way, class, I will not be giving you an activity today. Hindi ako magbibigay ng activity ninyo because by next week is your examination week, and take note, by the way, for the examination, for your exam, it will be a looping statement and conditional statement. So that will be your exam next week. Okay? Attendance muna. Attendance CS03. Today is March 11. Akamaka. Kanina.
Nalobat daw, sir. Sabi
Ha?
niya. Nalobat
Hello?
daw yung phone niya.
Okay. Bondok
Sir,
and Ngayaan Christina. Present. Okay, so that's all. Wait lang. This is record.